Welcome to another episode of Rise Up, Phoenix Sales Podcast. We have a special guest. It's the first time ever, a team member from Phoenix, Bob Fern, the Submeter Wizard.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you for coming, Bob. Thanks for coming off the road. Got to get back out on the road because we got to get you selling.
I know.
All right.
We do.
But I appreciate you coming in. Today we're going to talk about submetering, which I had no clue about, which is why you're on the team. Why submetering is important to contractors in our market, the distributors in our market, the end users, the industrial end users. And then we're going to talk a little bit about you and how you got to become the Submeter Wizard here in the market. We're going to talk a little bit about our friends at Dent by TBWC and what they can do and what you can do. So let's get this started. Bob.
Yes.
How the hell did you end up in the electrical industry and B, selling submetering? Because it's kind of a very specific section, group, category of what we do. It's not pipe and wire and lighting, which everybody knows about. It slides in under gear. But how did you end up doing this? I mean, did you grow up wanting to be in the electrical industry and doing submetering, or how the hell did you end up doing it?
Well, I grew up next door to an electrical distributor.
So an electrical supply house, you grew up next door.
Exactly. I was probably about 10 years old, and I would go over and, sweep the floors, wash the manager's car, stack conduit, and that began to, learn the electrical trade from a very young age.
Okay.
And from there, later, after I graduated from high school, I went to work for that distributor and started as a truck driver and moved up into the counter sales and inside sales. And there was a guy that used to come in. He was a manufacturer's rep, and always loved this guy because he was just so sharp. And I always wanted to do that, but it took me years to get there.
Sure.
So I worked for an electrical distributor for years, and then I decided to go into the contractor side.
Because the grass is always greener on the other side. Everybody always says that, right?
Yeah.
When you're a rep, I should have been a distributor. When you're a distributor, should have been a contractor. When you're a contractor, should have been a rep. I get you. I appreciate that.
So, I answered an ad in the paper for a manufacturer's rep. And it was the air territory was Maryland, Northern Virginia, and D.C.
Okay.
And at that time, it was like, wow, I was really hyped about this. I said, God, I could actually become a manufacturer's rep, what I've always wanted to do. Turned out really well, and that's how I got started into submetering, actually.
Okay.
That was one of the product lines that was doing really well with the company of Certified Electrical Sales back in the day. And myself and a counterpart, we actually put Eamon on the map by going to the consulting engineers and getting specified.
Sure.
And it just exploded from there. So that's how I got into the submetering business. And it is a niche. It's something that most people just aren't really understanding it because it's more like a mystery. Most people, they think about submetering, they think about the meter on the outside of your house for, the utility, or, but really what submetering is everything after the utilities meter.
Okay.
And whether that's electric, water, gas, BTU, what have you.
Okay. So I think that's, for me, it's intimidating. It is definitely a mysterious aspect. Having been in the electrical industry a lot, it's one thing whenever I would see submetering, wherever I would get that question, I would just pass it off. again, not knowing anything about it, and my experience was very limited on the gear side. But once, I started spending some time with you, once you came on board, the value of it in my mind, it's not going to stop. It's important. It's important for any sort of facility. It's important for any sort of retirement facility, apartment buildings, things like that. So
yes, it is.
Okay.
And that's the thing about submetering. Okay, is really when you think about it. Okay, why do people submeter?
No clue.
Well, the answer is what it was originally why people were submetering is because if we look at it to a complex like this here that has 10 different suites.
Correct.
Each one of those suites uses energy differently.
Mm-hmm.
So on that building that has these 10 suites, typically you'll find one meter. That's the utility meter.
Right.
So all these suites, everything combined into that one utility meter, and all these people that are getting charged for that energy on a flat rate basis based on their square footage, other people are paying their electric bill.
Okay. So it's making things more equitable, for making it, you're paying for what you use versus, like you said, paying that flat rate based on your square footage.
Right.
Whereas, we're using mostly lighting in here.
Right.
Whereas our next door neighbors, they have some sort of scientific testing machines. They have all sorts of crazy equipment in there. So their electric, and then the guys even next door to us, they have a cold storage unit built inside of inside their warehouse. So
yes.
They're definitely using more electricity than we are.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, without submeters, we're paying for them.
Yes, you're paying their share.
Okay, so thank God this is by the way submetered.
Yeah.
Actually, no, they were submetered, and now we're all individually metered from BGE. We are now,
Okay.
which is good.
Yeah.
Because before, we were kind of getting hosed.
Well, that's the thing
Right.
when it comes down to submetering. Okay, is if these 10 suites, okay, get their own utility meter from the utility, okay, very expensive.
Yes.
Okay, they have to pipe all that infrastructure into the building for each suite.
Correct.
Okay, and set a meter. Okay, so that is so expensive to do. So the answer is submeter. You keep the utility meter over here. The owner of the building is still going to get a utility bill for all these 10 suites, but now when he submeters it, now he can give each tenant their share of what they use.
Okay.
Okay. There's a number of other reasons why we submeter. Okay, one is it's part of code.
Right.
When you got the ASHRAE code and you got LEED, the folks have to break out the different loads, whether it be the receptacle loads, the HVAC loads, the lighting, indoor lighting, outdoor lighting. There's a lot of things that you got to break out. So doing that is not so easy if you're not really familiar with metering.
Okay.
And when we think about it, why should a contractor come to me about a project that he's quoting? Unless he's an expert on metering, he should contact me. And the reason being is, here's a prime example. I had a contractor, he had called me, and he says, hey, I've got this project, and I know I'm going to need at least 30 meters.
Right.
And so I said, well, that's great. I said, how about let me come down, we'll take a look at the plans, we'll go over it, and, I'll tell you exactly what you're going to need for this project. After doing so, come to find out he needed 8 meters, and we used extra sets of current sensors, or CTs, in the electrical line to meter the rest of the loads.
Versus 30.
Versus 30.
So you kind of killed a sale there, Bob.
Well, yeah, but I love selling.
No, I'm just
but
kidding.
I
There's
wanna-
value in that.
Yes,
There's
I
value
want to
because-
make sure they're getting what they need, and there's no sense paying for more than what you need. Okay,
So you saved that contractor money,
a lot of money. Yeah,
and then eventually his customer money.
exactly. So,
Okay. Okay.
that's a good example why the contractor should get in touch with me. Okay, same thing on the distributor side. I've had some distributors I've worked with in the past that were on the gear side, in fact, and they knew submetering pretty good. Okay, but they didn't know it as good as I did. Okay, and what had happened is he had inadvertently quoted a different part to go onto a smart meter that will give a pulse output.
Okay.
And with the smart meters that we were doing at that time, they do not accept a pulse output or a P3 pulser.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to go with a different option on the meter.
Okay.
Okay, which costs double what the pulser would cost. Fortunately, I was able to help him out, and so he didn't lose $10,000 on this project.
Okay.
Okay, so best thing is, hey, you may know it, you may think you know it, but hey, why not be sure? Give me a call. I'm here. I can help you.
Dent Meters by TBWC. This is our new partner. These are our